You see it on the concrete by your back door. That curved tail, frozen still in the porch light. Your boot is already lifting off the ground. Stop. Put your foot down. That scorpion you are about to crush is doing a job in your yard that you have been paying strangers hundreds of dollars a year to do worse. I know, because I killed every single one I found for almost 11 years. And my bug problem got worse every summer I did it. By the end of this, I will show you a trick from an old extension service bulletin, one involving a damp board and a flashlight that changed how I handle my whole property. And no, this is not just for people out in the desert. If you have a porch, this works for you. Let me take you back to the first mistake. It was a July night in the yard behind my old rental, and I remember the sound most of all. That dry crunch under my heel. I felt proud of it. I thought I had protected my family. I flicked the little body off the step with the toe of my boot and went back inside feeling like a man who handled his business. I did that same thing, that exact same crunch, for 11 summers. I want you to understand how sure I was. I was not lazy. I was not careless. I was doing what everybody told me to do. See a scorpion? Kill a scorpion. That was the whole rule book. Nobody ever sat me down and told me the rule book was wrong. But here is the thing that finally broke my confidence. The more scorpions I killed, the more crickets I had. The more crickets I had, the more of something else showed up. And I could not figure out why the harder I fought, the more the fight kept coming back to my door. So let me tell you what a scorpion actually eats, because this is where my whole story starts to turn. A scorpion is not out there hunting you. It could not care less about you. It is out there hunting the things you actually hate. Crickets, cockroaches, spiders, silverfish, small beetles. The soft-bodied bugs that get into your pantry, chew your baseboards, and skitter across your kitchen floor at 2 a.m. when you get up for a glass of water. One scorpion, a single adult, will work a patch of ground around your foundation night after night, eating its own weight in insects over time. Researchers who study these animals have measured how much they consume, and a well-fed scorpion can eat roughly a third of its body weight in a single meal. Then it can go for weeks, sometimes months, digesting slowly, waiting to hunt again. There are records of certain scorpions surviving over a year with almost no food at all. That is how efficient the machine is. Now think about what I was doing. Every time I crushed one, I was firing my best unpaid exterminator. And every bug that scorpion would have eaten over the next month got to live, got to breed, got to come inside. That is the part nobody told me. But it gets worse, because I did not just have one scorpion. I had a whole balance in my yard that I was tearing apart with my boot, and I had no idea I was the one causing the mess. So let me show you what these animals really are, because the history of them will change the way you look at that curved little shape on your porch forever. The scorpion is one of the oldest land animals that has ever existed, and I do not mean old like your grandfather. I mean scorpions were crawling around on this planet more than 400 million years ago. They were here before the dinosaurs. They were here before trees had bark. Fossils of scorpion ancestors have been pulled out of rock, laid down something like 430 million years back. They watched entire worlds rise and burn and freeze, and they are still here, mostly unchanged, because the basic design was already perfect. Think about that for a second. Every empire, every flood, every ice age, every asteroid, and this animal shrugged and kept doing exactly what it does. That is not a pest. That is a survivor that has been controlling insect populations since long before a single human walked the earth, and that survival has a purpose in the little ecosystem right outside your door. In the natural order, the scorpion sits near the top of the insect food chain in your yard. It is a check. It is a break. When the cricket population booms in the warm months, The scorpions eat well and keep the numbers down. When you remove the scorpions, you remove the break. And the population you were actually afraid of, the one that gets in your walls, is suddenly free to explode. I learned this the slow, stupid, expensive way. Let me tell you about the year I finally paid attention. It was the third summer in my current house, and the crickets were so loud at night I could not sleep with the window open. I had been faithfully stomping scorpions the entire time, feeling righteous about it. But my cricket problem was the worst it had ever been in my life. Then came the spiders, because spiders follow crickets. Then the roaches found the garage. I did what most people do. I picked up the phone and I called a pest control company. And this is where the money part of my story really starts. So pay attention if you are careful with $1, because I was not, and it cost me. The company sent a nice young man in a polo shirt. He walked my property, nodded a lot, and quoted me a number. Regular quarterly service. He wanted around $150 a visit, 4 visits a year, so about $600 every single year, forever, to spray a chemical barrier around my house. And here is the detail that should make your ears burn. When I asked him about the scorpions specifically, he told me scorpions are one of the hardest things to kill with spray because their bodies are built to survive in harsh conditions and they barely touch the treated surfaces. So let me lay out what I had done to myself. I spent 11 years killing the one predator that eats the bugs for free. That caused the bugs to multiply. Then I paid $600 a year to a company whose own technician admitted the spray does not even work well on scorpions. I was paying to lose. I was funding my own infestation, but I did not know that yet. That understanding came later, and it came from an unlikely place. Now I want to talk about the fear, because I know exactly what you are thinking. You are thinking, that is all well and good, but a scorpion can kill me or my grandkids or my dog. That fear is the whole reason the boot comes up. So let us deal with it honestly, the way somebody should have dealt with it for me years ago. Here is the truth about scorpion danger in the United States, and it surprised me when I finally read it. Out of all the scorpion species crawling around North America, and there are dozens, only one has venom strong enough to be a serious medical danger to a healthy adult. In the United States, that one is the Arizona bark scorpion. Every other common scorpion you are likely to find on your porch delivers a sting that feels roughly like a bee sting. It hurts, it swells, it goes away. That is it. And even with the dangerous one, the bark scorpion, the numbers tell a story most people never hear. Serious envenomations are treated very effectively now, and deaths are extraordinarily rare. Public health records in Arizona, the state with the most bark scorpions in the country, show that scorpion stings kill almost no one in a normal year, even though the state logs thousands upon thousands of stings annually. Most people who get stung never even go to the hospital. They put ice on it and they get on with their day. Compare that to the animals we do not think twice about. Dogs, bees, even deer standing in the road. All of them injure and kill more Americans every year than scorpions do. Yet we let the little armored bug carry all our fear. Now I am not telling you to go pick one up with your bare hand. I would never do that. And neither should you. What I am telling you is that the level of panic that makes us stomp every single one on sight is way out of proportion to the actual risk. And that panic is exactly what has been sold to us, which brings me to the part of this story that made me genuinely angry once I understood it. For a long time, I assumed the kill-on-sight rule was just old common sense passed down through families. It is not. Somebody profits from your fear of that scorpion. Somebody profits every single time you decide the answer is to spray and destroy instead of understand and manage. Think about the whole machine of it. There is an entire industry built on the idea that any bug near your home is an emergency that requires a paid professional and a chemical you cannot buy yourself. That industry does not make a dime when you learn that the scorpion on your porch is quietly eating the roaches for free. They do not make a dime when you learn to seal a doorway with a strip of weather stripping that costs a few dollars. They make their money on your fear and your ignorance. And I was a loyal customer of both for over a decade. The old-timers knew better. Go back and read what farmers and ranchers understood before the era of the quarterly spray contract. They knew a yard with a few scorpions and a few snakes and a few spiders was a yard in balance. They knew the predators kept the pests down. They did not love scorpions, but they respected the job those animals did. And they knew you do not carpet bomb your own land to kill one thing you are scared of. That wisdom got buried under decades of advertising that taught us every crawling thing is filth to be exterminated. And that is exactly the hole I have spent years digging back out of, one dated bulletin and one extension record at a time. Everything I am handing you in this video about moisture, hiding spots, and doorways is the porch-level version of a much bigger system, and I finally sat down and wrote the whole thing out in 3 books of mine, so a man can walk his own place and read it the way I learned to read mine. In there I lay out the full 30-day plan, week by week, with the real cases and the ready-to-use templates, every fix using what is already sitting in your garage, a scrap board, a brush pile, a bucket, an untouched corner, no spray, no zapper, no quarterly contract, no removal, quote, ever again. And it is all backed by the dated bulletins and studies your grandparents lived by, so you can explain to your wife and your neighbor exactly why you changed, instead of just hoping they take your word. If that is the kind of man you are, scan the QR code right there on your screen, link in the description, pinned comment, and the books are yours. Because once you see the game clearly, you cannot go back to the boot. But once I saw the game, I could not unsee it. And that is when I started digging for the old methods, the ones that let you live alongside these animals safely, instead of fighting a war you are guaranteed to lose. What I found changed everything, and the best part of it is coming, so stay with me. Now, right here is where you might be thinking this is fine for somebody buying a new place or somebody with acres of empty desert, but not for you. Maybe you already have scorpions in the house. Maybe you have kids. Maybe you are standing in a home you have lived in for 30 years and you cannot exactly rewild your backyard. So this next part is built specifically for you, for the house you already own, with the things you already have in a drawer right now. The first thing I learned is that you do not need to kill the scorpion to make it leave the area you care about. You need to understand 2 things about it. It wants moisture, and it wants a tight, dark place to hide during the day. Take away those 2 things near your living space, and the scorpion moves out to the edge of your property where it belongs, doing its job on the bugs, away from your feet. Start with moisture. Scorpions come toward your house looking for water, especially in dry months. Walk your foundation and look for the drip, a leaky hose bib, an air conditioner condensation line dumping water by the wall, a sprinkler head spraying the stucco, a dog bowl left out overnight. Every one of those is a neon sign inviting scorpions and the bugs they follow right up to your door. I found 2 of these at my own house, and I had never once connected them to the problem. Fixing a dripping outdoor faucet cost me a washer worth less than $1. Next, the hiding places. Scorpions need to squeeze into something tight during the daylight hours. So walk your yard in the afternoon and remove the daytime hotels sitting right against your house. Stacked firewood against the wall. A pile of old boards. Loose landscaping rock piled deep. Bags of leaves. Cardboard in the garage. Move the woodpile away from the foundation and up off the ground, and you have just evicted a whole population without killing anything. Then seal the doorway, because this is the one that keeps them out of the living room. Get down on the floor inside at night and look at the gap under your exterior doors. If you can see light coming through, a scorpion can come through, because they can flatten themselves into a shockingly thin space. A door sweep or a strip of weather stripping from any hardware store, a few dollars, 10 minutes with a screwdriver, and you have closed the single most common entry point in the entire house. I did every exterior door in my place in one Saturday afternoon for under $20 total. None of this requires a contract. None of it requires a man in a polo shirt. None of it requires poison. It requires you to see your home the way the scorpion sees it, and then quietly take away the invitation. That alone dropped my indoor sightings to almost nothing, and I still had my free pest patrol working the perimeter. But there is one more piece, and this is the piece I promised you at the very start. This is the method that pulled the whole thing together for me, and it comes from a place most people would never think to look. When I started reading old agricultural extension material, the practical bulletins that state universities have been putting out for farmers and homeowners for over 100 years, I kept coming across references to a simple survey technique for finding out how bad a scorpion situation really was on a property. And it turns on one strange fact about the animal that scientists confirmed back in the middle of the last century. A scorpion glows in the dark, not on its own. But shine ultraviolet light on a scorpion, the kind of light from a cheap black light, and its entire body lights up a bright, ghostly blue-green. Researchers studying scorpions documented this fluorescence decades ago and figured out it comes from a compound built right into the hard outer shell of the animal. Every scorpion has it. A scorpion you would completely miss in the dark, sitting perfectly camouflaged against gravel or wood, turns into a glowing beacon the second that ultraviolet light hits it. You cannot miss it. It looks like something out of another world. Here is why that one fact is the most useful thing in this entire video. It flips the whole game from blind fear to total control. For years I lived in the dark, literally. I only ever saw a scorpion by accident when one happened to cross the porch under the yellow light while I was standing there. So my only tool was panic and a boot. But with a black light, I could walk my property after dark and actually see the truth. I could see exactly how many there were, exactly where they lived, exactly which corner of the yard was their headquarters, and exactly where they were trying to get into my house. So here is the method, the one you can do this very weekend, for the price of a cheap flashlight. Buy a small ultraviolet blacklight flashlight. They cost around $10 to $15. Wait until full dark, an hour or two after sunset in the warm months when scorpions are active. Then walk slowly around the outside of your home with the light held low, sweeping it across the ground, the base of the walls, the woodpile, the cracks in the foundation, and the plants. The ones that light up will show you your reality. And now you have choices you never had before. You will see which entry points to seal, because you will watch where they gather. You will see which moisture source is drawing them, because they will cluster near it. And if one is right up against the door where children play, you do not have to crush it. You can slide a wide-mouthed jar or a plastic container over it, slip a piece of stiff cardboard underneath, and carry it out to the back of your property, to the brush line, where it will keep eating your pests far from your feet. A scorpion cannot climb the smooth inside wall of a glass jar. It is trapped the moment you cover it, completely safe to move. And here is the last piece of the old bulletin wisdom that ties it all together. Those old extension guides suggested laying a damp burlap sack or a flat wet board on the ground in the evening in an area where you suspected scorpions. They seek out that cool, moist hiding spot overnight. In the morning, you lift the board, and you have a gathered group of them in one place, easy to count, easy to relocate all at once, no chemicals, no guessing, no war. A damp board and a black light, that is the entire toolkit. Two things that cost less than a single visit from that pest company, and they hand you complete understanding of an animal that had me terrified and broke for 11 years. The night I first walked my yard with that black light, I will never forget it. I found the drip line I had missed. I found the exact gap under the side gate they were using. And I found that the great terrifying army I imagined was really just a handful of animals quietly working the edges of my property, keeping the crickets and roaches in check, asking nothing from me but to be left alone. I had been at war with my own security guards. So think about the full circle of what I did to myself, and what you can avoid. I killed the predator, so the pests multiplied. The pests multiplied. So I paid a company $600 a year. The company sprayed poison that barely touched the scorpions anyway, while my fear kept the whole cycle spinning. And the entire time, the real solution cost less than $25 in one Saturday. Fix the moisture, remove the hiding spots, seal the doors, and use a black light to trade fear for knowledge. That curved little shape on your porch is not your enemy. It is the oldest pest control system on this planet, refined over 400 million years, and it has been standing guard at your door for free while you were being sold. The idea that you needed to destroy it and then pay to replace it. Here is what I want you to feel walking away from this. You were never in danger the way you thought, and you were never as helpless as they wanted you to feel. You got handed a rule: kill on sight. And nobody ever told you it was quietly costing you money, sleep, and the natural balance around your own home. Tonight you can take that back. You are the kind of person who would rather understand something than be scared of it. You would rather spend $15 once than $600 a year forever. You trust your own two eyes and a bit of proven common sense over a stranger selling you a contract. That is exactly the person this is for. So let me ask you something, and I really do want you to answer this one. When you go out tonight or tomorrow and shine a light around your foundation, how many do you think you will find glowing back at you? Drop that number in the comments. And tell me where you are watching from, because Scorpion Country looks different in Arizona than it does in Tennessee, and I read every one of these. If you ever crushed one on your porch like I did for all those years, tell me that too. It helps to know I was not the only one who got it wrong. And if you want more of this, the buried, practical, old-fashioned knowledge that convenience and marketing quietly talked us out of, come join the rest of us who are digging it back up. Subscribe and stick around, because the next one I am working on is about a common backyard plant that people rip out as a weed every spring when the old almanacs listed it as one of the most useful things you could ever have growing by your kitchen door. You are going to want to see that one before you pull another weed. I will see you there. Before you go, let me tell you where this goes next. Inside the Old Ways Almanac, I pick up right where we left off, with the damp board and flashlight method, step by step. Ask me your own question, and a real person, me, answers you myself. You'd be joining thousands of Old Ways folks just like you. Just point your phone's camera at the code on the screen. Cancel anytime with one click, no risk at all. Now, there's another creature on your porch you may want to leave alone, and the reason will surprise you. It quietly protects your home in a way most folks never realize. That video's starting right here.